And we're going to do another 3-week series on the channels of prana. So the way that prana moves more anatomically through the body. So we did a 5-week series on prana, the prana vayus, which are the directional movements. And that's just kind of like wind. That's just, it comes in and it goes somewhere. But how it gets there is through these channels of energy, which we'll discuss over the next 3 weeks. Um, yeah, and I understand that as I'm like going through these fun little series that like we're getting kind of minute into like these aspects of yoga. I don't expect you to remember all of these. If anything, they're fun information to have. At most, they're great tools to have to help cater your practice or to know what you need if you're requesting practices, which you're always welcome to do for my Thursday class. Um, so this system, the system are the channels of prana through the body are called the Nadi system. Nadi. Nadi means flow. And more specifically, it means flow of consciousness. If you have Essential Pranayama, my book, I discuss this in minor detail on page 10. And there's actually a chart or a picture on page 11. You can't see this, but a chart on page 11 that shows you kind of like how the nadis move through the physical system, even though they kind of exist more on an energetic level. Okay, so there are in the body thousands of these fine channels, wire-like structures that conduct prana through the system. And I like to use the word conduct because it literally is moving electricity. Prana, in my viewpoint, it's life force energy. It's that which moves us, it's that which animates us. But at the end of the day, it's the same electricity I feel that is powering these lights, that's powering this computer and this phone that and this microphone that I'm filming this through. It's that which moves everything. It animates everything in the universe. That is prana. And how it moves through the system is through these channels called the nadis. So kind of like blood vessels moving blood through the system, bringing nourishment where it needs it, the nadis bring prana or energy to every cell in your system. And according to whichever text you decide to read at a certain point, there can be several thousand to over 72,000 nadis in the body. We're not going to cover all of those, thankfully. Not that we would, I don't even know if anybody knows what all of them are. So it's kind of an assumption at some level. But out of those 72,000 plus nadis, there are 3 main ones that we will discuss, and 3 main ones that are discussed most widely. And they're the ones that are discussed in Essential Pranayama. And we'll do one class for each of them over the next few weeks. Anything else I want to talk about? So, sorry. The 3 nadis we'll discuss are Ida Nadi, IDA, and that is more the lunar or moon side. There is Pingala Nadi, which is the more solar sun side. And then there is the central channel of energy, which is not a blend of the two. It's something different. And that is called Sushumna Nadi. And the idea is that when we bring the 2 sides or the 2 first nadis, the Ida and the Pingala Nadi, into balance, it opens up any blockages for Sushumna Nadi to be awakened, and Kundalini energy or prana can move upwards, and it causes this ascension of consciousness. That gets a little esoteric after a while, and I won't bog you down with that. And we'll have a whole Sushumna class where you'll be able to like really feel it. But to kind of give you an idea of the anatomy of the first 2, Ida and Pingala, is that they initiate at the root chakra and they helix themselves through all of the chakras and they terminate at the nostrils. And that's the way that we're going to best understand them. Okay. Anything else about the main stuff? Nope, we're going on. All right. And we'll talk about Sushumna in detail in a few weeks. Tonight's class is going to focus on Ida Nadi, or the nadi that initiates from the left side of the root chakra, and it terminates at the left nostril. So it's a left nostril, and then it these are all like switching back and forth, so just follow along as best you can. The left nostril helps to control the right brain, because again, this is helixing through the body, so it tends to zigzag its way around. Yes, Ida refers to the moon. It's cooling, receptive, tends to be more introverted and passive. It tends to be more mental or cerebral. We tend to get more into the ethereal realm when we activate Ida Nadi. And it's more feminine in its energy if you have to make it a binary of feminine and masculine. It controls the activation of the right brain. I said that already, which the right brain, if you're not aware of that neuroscience side of this, that is your creativity, ideas that expanded consciousness or thinking outside the box, and abstract thought. Now, in a perfect world, both nadis would be in equal flow, but you might not always have that be the case. And the way to tell physically if you are depleted in Ida Nadi or if that energy is blocked is you pay attention to the flow of breath in your nostrils. And if your left nostril, because that's Ida, is blocked, that might be a consideration that you need to bring more of these practices that initiate um, or unblock Ida Nadi into your system. Conversely, and we'll talk about this next week with Pingala, but if the right is blocked, you'd want to uh, do more Pingala, Nadi type practices, more solar practices. And those practices can be yoga asana, they can be pranayama, they can be meditation. I talk about them in a more pranayama sense in the book, but yeah, and that's something to good to be aware of. And this is my last point before we get started, is you can really pay attention to the breath in the nostrils because it's a natural phenomenon that one nostril will be open more than the other, or one will be completely blocked and the other will be open. And that's a great way to just check in on your energetic state. You can't just sense it on your own. So all of this information is to help you go deeper into yourself and go deeper into your practice and understand yourself on just a few more levels. So the nadis are the channels of energy, and we're going to experience the moon side tonight with Ida Nadi. Sound good? All right, and that's a long diatribe, but I wanted to give you the basis of what we're doing so that when we get into the experiences that you can better identify what's happening for you. Cool. So let's begin by getting centered. Go ahead and sit comfortably, however that looks for you. And as your eyes close, bring your awareness to the flow of breath in your nostrils. You maybe just check in immediately and just notice, is one nostril more open than the other? Maybe both are open. Maybe one's open a little bit and the other one's more open. We're not really trying to reach any solid conclusion in this awareness. We're just being aware. We're definitely not judging. And then become aware of the left nostril. You might sense breath in it, you might not. And just to follow this channel, this nadi for a moment. As you're breathing, feel the breath enter through the left nostril or energy come through the left nostril, passing through the right side of the brain and then curving back to the throat. And then moving out of the throat, curving back to the heart, curving out of the heart and back to the navel, curving out of the navel, back to the tip of the tailbone, and then a small curve that loops back to the root. That snake-like formation, passing through these chakras, helping to bring energy through to these centers. Take a couple more breaths in this awareness. that lunar receptive energy, and allowing our class tonight to be what connects us to that. Let's chant the sound Om 3 times. Deep breath in. Oh. 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 Bring your palms to your heart and lower the chin. Honor yourself however you are in this moment. Body, breath, energy, and mind. It's from this place within you that we'll practice. Go ahead and roll the palms together, creating heat. And take the heated palms over your eyes. Brushing back over the top of the head, down the neck, over the body, bringing yourself back. And we'll come on to hands and knees to start. We might be on hands and knees for a bit, so if you'd like to bring a folded blanket underneath your knees for comfort, please go ahead and do so. I'm going to, because why not? It's comfortable. Okay. So bring the hands under the shoulders, knees beneath the hips. Inhale, look forward. Heart lifts, tailbone lifts. Exhale, go back to Balasana, child's pose. Then inhale, come back up. And exhale back to child's pose. Let's keep going. Inhale, rise. Exhale, release. On your own. And notice the pace at which you're moving between these two postures. And then slow it down. Go slowly back to child's pose. Go slowly up to hands and knees. And just for a few more rounds, move at that pace. Slowly child's pose. Slowly hands and knees. And the slow down movement is actually helping to slow energy. It's also helping to bring more intention or awareness to the movement, to your body. And it also helps to build strength because it takes a lot more control to slowly rise and release. Let's do one more. Good. Take your time getting there. But the next time you come to hands and knees, go ahead and stay. And I'm going to turn to face you, but you can keep facing in the direction you're in right now. Good. You're going to take your left foot out to the side. Now, the leg is in line with both hip bones, so it's not far forward and it's not far back. And you're grounding through the pinky edge of that foot. Your hands are under your shoulders. Good. And then roll the shoulders down the back, look forward with the heart slightly, and feel your tailbone lifting toward the ceiling behind you. Some of you have done this before. Keep the tail lifting and then glide backwards. Tail lifting, you'll start to feel a stretch on the inner thigh. Then inhale, come back up. Exhale, gliding backwards. Inhale back up. Again, keep the tailbone lifting. Inhale, rise. We'll do a couple more. Good. Keep the tailbone lifting behind you. Glide back. And stay wherever that point is where you're really feeling the stretch and you can maintain the tailbone lifting. Now, a staple of our practice this evening, and for practices that help clear Ida Nadi, is long holds. So get in with a breath and get stable, get steady as much as you can here. Keep the tail lifting, grounding through the pinky edge of the left foot. And the way that we can more easily maintain these long hold postures is by controlling the breath. And the way that we'll do that tonight is just by steadying at first, not erratically inhaling and exhaling, but also slowing down the breath. Take your time as you inhale. And especially with the exhalation, take your time as you exhale. If you want to, you can even make the breath a little bit audible. Ujjayi pranayama, closing off the back of the throat slightly. One more breath. And then inhale, rise back up. And step the left leg on in. Good. Let's do the other side. Step the right leg out. Again, just preparing. Have the leg in line with both hip bones, grounding through the right side, not too far forward or back. Hands under your shoulders. Good. Tailbone lifting. That's the cue here. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, just glide backwards. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, glide backwards. Inhale, back up. We'll do a few more and then we'll go into that longer hold here. Keep the tailbone lifting. Keep the right side of the right foot grounding toward the floor. Good, and then go back to your furthest point. So that point where you're feeling the stretch and you can keep the tailbone lifting and where you can breathe for a bit. Deep breaths in and out. And again, the cue here is to slow down the breath. And the slowing down of the breath helps to calm the energy, of course, but it also helps to calm the mind. When we get into uncomfortable postures or situations in life, the mind takes over. And when I say the mind in this case, I'm talking about the ego mind. Starts making assumptions, starts judging. And slowing down the breaths helps to slow down that tendency. Because where the mind is the master of the body, the breath is the master of the mind. So by controlling the breath, we control the tendencies or movements of your mind. Slow inhale, slow exhale. One more time. Good. Now with your inhale, carefully come up and step the leg on in. Good. We're going to do another exercise with the hips here. Go ahead and step your left foot out to the side again. Same setup, leg in line with the hip bones, grounding through the outside of that foot. And take a deep breath in. And then exhale, bend your left knee, sink down into the hip. Inhale, come back up. And exhale, sink back in. Inhale, back up. Exhale, sink. Inhale, lift. Let's do a couple more times. Good. Now, as you sink into the side, go ahead and stay. Now, your hands can stay in center where they were at. If you would like to, you can walk the hands to the left here. And the idea in this posture is to keep the heart and the hips on the same plane. So you're not lifting up like this, and you're not dropping far down like this. You're staying steady. Now, if you can do that and come onto your forearms, you're fine to do that, or forearms could be on blocks as well. But it's perfectly fine to stay up on your hands to maintain the integrity of the pose. Now, if you haven't started doing so already, slow down your breath, especially if you notice any tightness or discomfort in your body. And when we slow down the breath, our relationship to the discomfort changes. It's not that it's not uncomfortable anymore. We're just not reactive to it as much. There's less of a need to flee from it. Good. With your next inhale, please go ahead and extend the left leg and step it on in. And you guessed it, the right leg goes out to the right, the leg in line with the hip bones, grounding through the right side of the right foot. And then we'll go in and out about 5 times on this side. So take a deep breath in. With your exhale, bend the right knee, sink on in, then inhale, come back up, and exhale, sink on in. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. One more time. Coming in for the hold. Good. Now again, the hands can stay where they're at. Maybe you want to walk them to the right. Just make sure that your chest and your hip bones stay on the same plane, not dropping down or lifting up too much. Again, if you have the flexibility in your hips, you might be able to come onto the forearms, but only do so if the hips and the heart can stay on the same level plane. Slow down the breath. And as I mentioned with one of the first exercises, you can make the breath audible to help it slow down. Ujjayi pranayama. Stay a little bit longer. Control the breath to control the mind. Yes, there may be some tightness or discomfort here. What's your relationship to that? That's something you can control. Good. With your next inhale, please straighten the right leg. Step it on in child's pose. If you want to keep the slow breath going here, please do. Maybe the breath is still audible as well. Good. And then walk your hands back, coming up to a seat. Good. So for this next exercise, you might want to sit on a cushion or a couple of folded blankets. We're going to be doing seated butterfly, and sometimes that's easier when the hips are off the ground a little bit. Okay, so do your best with what you have at home. But go ahead and bring the soles of the feet together in butterfly. Then we're going to create a little bit of extension in the spine, and eventually we'll come into a forward fold. Before we do that, a forward fold in butterfly is not a nosedive. We're not rolling down the spine and hanging out here. This does absolutely nothing except collapse your windpipe, which is counterproductive. When we do come to fold forward, we'll keep the spine tall or long, and we'll think about hinging at the hips. I say that a lot. We hinge at the hips and draw the heart forward. And you go only as far as you can while you're keeping the back straight. The second you start to round, you back up a little bit and stay there. Another thing that happens when people fold forward is they jut their chin forward and they do one of these. There's nothing going on up here. Look down. And that keeps the neck in line, because if not, you're cutting off energy at the neck, and that's, again, counterproductive. All right. But we'll start by establishing a tall spine. So sit up as tall as you can, and your hands can hold on to the shins, maybe the ankles. If you have really long arms, you can hold on to the pinky edge of the feet. But, be comfortable about it. We're still warming up. And feel your shoulders relax down your back, the crown of the head lifting, just like we do in our meditative seat. And come back to that extended breath, or slow breath, I should say. Slowly inhale. And slowly exhale, feeling the knees just kind of through their own volition way out to the side. It's a little bit of opening for the hip joints here. We'll do plenty more for the hips in a bit. It's just kind of getting them used to the idea of being flexed like this. And then keep the breath slow. Identify the hip joints in your mind and just begin to hinge like a door closing from that point until you hit a stretch, and then stop at the stretch. Again, the back is flat. There's a little bit of curvature at the lower back, but that's intentional. The upper back stays where it's at. Slowing down the breath. It doesn't matter how far you fold forward. Some of you are really flexible. Some of you, are not so much, and that's fine too. Because really the way that you can tell the difference between a super novice yogi and a super advanced yogi, it isn't by how far they can go into this posture, if they can stand on their head for 12 minutes. It's by how well they can control their breath. So let that be your focus. And breathe at whatever point of sensation you're feeling in this posture. And stay for just a couple more of these long breaths. And then however far you fold it, go ahead and come back up to a tall seat. Okay, good job. So a couple of options for this next one. You can stay in butterfly if you're totally digging this. You can also just come to a normal meditative seat, or maybe you want to extend your legs forward. Maybe the hips want to break. Do whatever feels good for you, okay? Because we're gonna do a shoulder exercise. And what happens from here down, not so much matters right now. So if you wanna keep practicing butterfly, it's available to you, but totally understandable if you wanna break from it. So go ahead and lift your left arm into the air and drop the left hand behind your head. And then reach up with your right hand and grab that left elbow and traction the elbow toward the center line of the body. Now the hand that's just kind of free back behind you, bring that towards your spine and sit up tall. Good, sitting tall. At any time you want to change the position of your legs, you're welcome to. Keep the heart lifting as much as you can. Now we usually do this one standing, so you are probably familiar with it. And I usually give a diatribe about how this is uncomfortable, and that's probably still true. But as we know from the work we've done so far tonight, you can help with that discomfort by controlling your breath. So go ahead and slow down the inhale and exhale, and you can bring Ujjayi Pranayama, the audible breath, to you if you'd like. I'll stay for a few more breaths. Good. Carefully release the left arm, feeling sensation that's being released as the arm relaxes down. Good. There's another side to do. When you're ready for that, go ahead and take the right arm up. Drop the right hand behind your head, and then reach up and grab the elbow and traction it toward the center line of your body. Now the right hand behind you comes toward your spine, and then lift your heart. And let's breathe. Let's breathe. Noticing when there's discomfort, slowing down the breath, and through that slower breath, maybe changing your relationship to any discomfort or sensation you're feeling. And just being receptive to the experience, not having to need it be comfortable or be a certain way. Just there's a level of openness. That's really what that lunar moon Ida quality is. It's not that the other perspective, the more solar sun perspective, isn't important. We'll do that next week. Slowing it down. A couple more breaths. Good. And carefully release the right arm. Feeling sensation as that arm relaxes. Good. It might feel comfortable to roll the shoulders out a little bit, or maybe do some Shiva arms. We're definitely going to do more, don't worry. Just getting the shoulders nice and warmed up, and you'll see why that was important in a little bit. But for now, we're going to come back onto hands and knees. And once you're there, go ahead and step your right foot between the hands. Good, right foot between the hands, coming into this lunge. And then go ahead and interlace your fingers on top of the right thigh. Good. Now feel yourself sink deeper into the lunge, and then from the root, just pull yourself back a little bit, and then sink a little bit deeper. I like to exhale as I sink, and then inhale to pull back. But do what feels right for you. It feels organic. Just these small pulsing movements. This helps, of course, the right hip flexor, but you're also feeling a bit of a stretch in the left quad at the top of the left thigh. Good, let's do a couple more. Just taking a couple more breaths in this grounding work. Good. And then bring your hands to the floor. Curl the back toes under. And actually come back to the hands interlaced on the thigh. Sorry, I was getting ahead of myself with what we were going to do next. So keeping the hands interlaced on the thigh, back toes curled under. Inhale, lift the left knee off the ground, straighten the leg. Then exhale, carefully take it back down. That's the hard part. Inhale, lift the knee. And exhale, lower it down. You might even shake as it happens. It's okay. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do it one more time. We're going to hold when we come up. So go ahead and straighten the left leg. Lift the heart. Sink the hip. Breathe the breath. Slow it down. Deep breath in. Slowly, don't drop it. Slowly release the left knee down to the ground and bring the hands down. Good. Let's come into downward facing dog. Step the right leg back. Whew. Notice the difference between the two sides. least in my experience, it's pretty different. And it might make you want to do the other side, just so you feel balanced, which is, I guess, the point at the end of the day. So however you want to do it, bring your left foot forward. You can drop down first and step it, or you can swing it forward like you like to. Then interlace the fingers on top of the left thigh. And again, we'll do those pulsing hip movements. So go ahead and sink a little bit deeper into the pose, and then pull yourself back just slightly. Exhale, sink in. Inhale, come back. Exhale, sink in. Inhale, pull back. And again, I like to exhale, sink in, inhale, pull back. If something else feels better for you, go ahead and do so. I didn't mention this on the first side, but I'll do it now. If that back knee, that right knee is feeling kind of sensitive on your mat, you can bring a blanket under it, or you could double up your mat and put your knee on it. There's certain discomforts that we can live with, and there's certain ones that are a little bit harder to deal with. And the hard part is knowing the difference. But if your knee is hurting, bring some comfort there. If your hip is uncomfortable, keep going. We can work with that. We can work with the knee too, but anyway, I'm bantering. Go ahead and if you need to bring the hands down for this next one, you can. Curl the back toes under. Then interlace the fingers on the thigh. Inhale, lift the right knee off the ground. And exhale, carefully put it back down. Okay, let's do it again. Inhale, lift. And exhale, lower. Inhale. And exhale. Good, twice more. Lift. And down. We're gonna hold this next time. Coming on up. And let's breathe. Heart is lifting, back leg is straight, front knee is bending as much as it can here. Get light on the hands. Sometimes I like press into it really hard. Just get light, get light. Good, deep breath in. And again, don't drop it. Carefully release the right knee down. Bring the hands down. Again, downward facing dog. Stepping back. Notice the difference. If you need to walk the dog out a bit here, you're welcome to. Good. And then go ahead and walk the hands back to the feet, coming into Uttanasana, standing forward fold. And press palms to shins, come halfway up. Exhale, fold on down. One more time. Halfway up, inhale. Exhale, fold down. And let's stay down for just a couple of breaths. If you'd like to, you can hold on to the the backs of your calves and just give yourself a slight tug, only if you want to. Sometimes the hamstrings are feeling it enough already. Good. Go ahead and press palms to shins. Come halfway up one more time. Exhale, fold. And then inhale, sweep the arms out to the side of the flat back. Come all the way up to standing. And bring your palms to your heart. Good. All right. I don't know about you, but I can feel my hips pretty well now and my hamstrings. And we're going to do a little bit more work to help that along throughout the rest of the class. But I want to do just something with the shoulders because we're going to add it to a posture later. Okay? So go ahead and have the feet about maybe a little wider than your hips, but not as wide as your shoulders. And we're going to eventually be coming into a forward fold here. So I'll turn sideways. I'm going to interlace my fingers behind my back and squeeze the shoulder blades together and lift the arms off the back. Okay. Now, if you can't really lift the arms off the back, that's fine. What you can do is you can grab a yoga strap or a belt or a dog leash or a sock, something where you can keep a connection between the hands. So I have one at the ready. If you are going to be using a strap or something like that, you don't hold the hands together like this. you actually keep the hands shoulder width apart. That's going to give you the access that you're looking for, okay? So if you're using a prop, that's how you're going to do it. So interlacing the fingers or holding onto the prop, squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift the arms off the back, soften your knees, and then hinge at the hips, taking the arms overhead. Good. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Slow inhale, slow exhale. Good. One more breath here. Then take the hands to the low back, scoop the heart forward, and come back up to standing. Stay for a breath or two. Just feeling the blood resettle in the body. All right. So let's practice humble warrior pose. So from the front of your mat, step your left foot way back. And the back foot is flat on the floor, about 45 degrees pointing forward. Your hips are pointing directly forward. So you have these two pointy hip bones, the ilium, those are pointing directly forward like headlights on a car. And if you have them off to the side, you'll hit a deer. It's a little joke. I don't hear you laughing anymore, so I just assume you're entertained by this. So here's hoping. So go take a deep breath in. Exhale, bend your right knee, sink down into warrior. Inhale, straighten the leg. Exhale, sink in. Inhale, back up. We're gonna do it a few more times. Keep going. And this is just dynamic work to really let our bodies know where we're going before we go there. Just consider it, you know? It's like sending a text before you head to somebody's house, you know, just let them know you're on your way. Good. Go ahead and bend the right knee. We're gonna hold the posture. Interlace your fingers behind your back or use the prop. We're gonna do a long hold, so help yourself. Pull the shoulders together, lift the arms off the back, puff the chest. Then exhale, take your right chest or ribs to your right thigh and take the arms overhead. Don't be afraid to keep bending into the right knee. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Now stay here if you'd like to. I'm going to give you a modification that's kind of more of an intermediate version of this. So the one we're doing now is that the right ribs are on your right thigh. If you can keep the right knee bending, you can allow the heart to drop toward the inside of the right leg. And if that's too much, go back up onto the thigh. Keep the arms working overhead. Slow down the breath. I know it's getting hard. Slow down the breath. Release the arms, bring the hands to the floor. And you can use the arms to help you straighten the right leg if you'd like to. But keep folding over the leg for a moment. And keep the breath regulated as much as you can. Good. Since we're here, we might as well do a triangle pose. So go ahead and take your right hand onto your right shin or ankle. Inhale, extend the left arm forward and sweep it into the air, opening up. Breathe, working the left shoulder back. Looking up if it's comfortable in the neck. If it's not, you can look forward or even down. Help yourself. And think about your left hand. The one that's up here, swirling around. Imagine that somebody's holding onto that hand and they pull you all the way up. Isn't it nice you had some help there? All right, so we did one side. We're gonna do the other side next. So however it works best for you, I'm just gonna change the angles of my feet, which works well for camera, but you might wanna step a foot forward and step the opposite one back. Just make sure your left foot is the one that's extending forward this time, that will be folding towards, okay? Now the back foot is flat on the floor, toes pointing forward about 45 degrees. And again, the hip bones are squaring forward as well. Again, headlights on a car. Let's go in and out a few times. So deep breath in, exhale, sink in. Inhale, come back up. Exhale, sink on in. Inhale up. A few more times. Good, and sink in this time, let's stay. You ready? Interlace at the lower back. Work the shoulder blades together, lift the arms off the back, use your strap if you need it. Lift the heart, inhale. Exhale, fold. Take the left ribs to the left thigh and sweep the arms as far overhead as you can. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Try to keep that back foot, the right foot on the ground the entire time. Now again, stay here if this is cool for you. If you don't want to go any further, that's completely fine. Again, the more intermediate version of this is to drop the heart to the inside of the left thigh. Still working the arms overhead. Still breathing too. Still breathing slowly as best you can, especially if it's hard to do. Do your best. I know it's uncomfortable. You might even be shaking, that's fine. It's okay if you shake. There's nothing wrong with that. Slow breaths. All right, carefully release the hands to the floor and straighten the left leg. Folding over that leg. And then bring your left hand onto your left shin or ankle. Sweep the right arm forward and then up into the air, coming into Uttanasana, triangle pose on this side. And breathe. Again, the head can look up, can look forward, can look down. Just keep the head engaged. You don't want to drop it. That's not helpful. Working the right shoulder back. Good. Now think about your right hand, that one in the air. Imagine you're holding on to somebody and they give you a tug that pulls you up to standing. Awesome. We made it. Go ahead and take the feet parallel, still wide, but parallel. Toes pointing directly forward or pigeon toeing slightly. We're gonna come into a wide leg forward fold. So sweep the arms up, inhale. With your exhale, hinge at the hips, fold over the legs. Good. And then bring your chest parallel to the ground. You'll straighten the arms and walk your hands forward off of your mat. Okay. And then think about your feet. Take a look at them if you want to. Step your feet off the back of your mat. Some of you know where we're going. And then you're going to lift your heels so you're on the balls of your feet. and then release down onto the sides of your knees. Okay, so you should not be on the patella, you should not be on the kneecap here, you should be on the side of the knee. If you can't help but be on the kneecap, bring some cushion there. So either a blanket, or you can take this extra mat you have here and bring that underneath the knees on both sides. Okay, now the feet, the inside arch comes flat to the floor, and the heels are just a little bit wider than the knees. So not cutting inward, but more cutting outward, like frog legs, because we're gonna do frog pose. Slide back a little bit. And then come down onto your forearms. Good. Now, sometimes the forearms can get tender here too, so you might need a blanket under them, but just help yourself if you need that. Good. Now, it's tempting here to stay lifted up too high. It's tempting here to collapse down onto your chest. Keep the shoulders and the hips on the same level plane, and then begin to traction the hips backwards behind you until you hit a physical body wall. It's not like a wall in your house, but it's as far as you can go in the hips. And once you get there, we've been practicing this all evening. Slow down your breath. You can engage the Ujjayi pranayama, the audible breath, to help with that. But use the breath to control the tendencies of the mind so that you can stay with any sensation that you're feeling right now. Whether that's discomfort, maybe it's waves of that with a little bit of relief. Sometimes there's some emotional sensation that comes up with working with the hips. Not often, sometimes, you might get like a flash of fear, like a little bit of anxiety awakens. Control that with the breath. Slow inhale. And slowed down exhale. Frog pose. This is a long holds class, so we're going to be here for a little bit longer. Check in with yourself. How you doing? Can you glide back a little bit more? Are you cheating yourself out of the pose by dropping down the chest or lifting it up too high? Are you giving in to that fight or flight response? It asks you to run from this discomfort. It's just discomfort. It's not danger. It's not dangerous. You can regulate the breath. You can regulate your mind. Stay with it. I'm making an assumption here, but unclench your jaw. Relax the face. Slow breath in. Slow breath out. And take a deeper, fuller breath. When you're ready, carefully walk back up onto your hands. The feet behind you, work those toward one another. And then gingerly bring the knees toward one another. and immediately come into child's pose. Keep the breath regulated, even here in child's pose. There might be a feeling of relief that comes. Don't move away from the sensation, whatever the sensation might be. When you're ready, please bring yourself up. Good job. I know frog pose isn't the most fun posture for some of us. That's completely fine. So we just have a few more poses to do before Shavasana, and the next one we'll do on our back. So let's come on down and get ready for bridge pose. And yes, it'll be a long hold bridge. So coming to lay down, take your time getting there. But when you do, bring the heels underneath your knees, about hip distance apart, and your arms down by your side for this. Take a deep breath in and out here. And with your inhale, lift the hips into the air, coming into bridge. And you can stay right here if you'd like to. If you want to bind the pose, you can interlace your fingers underneath your body and walk onto the sides of your shoulders, pressing up a little bit higher and bowing your heart towards your chin and relaxing your throat. Soften your throat, soften the jaw, press up higher, stay. Slow breath in and out. Press up a little bit higher. One more breath. And then release the arms, their hands, and then carefully hips come down to the floor. Stay for a moment. Be with sensation. And taking your arms out to the side, making a T shape with your body, or doing goalpost arms if there's things in the way. Bring your knees into your chest. Take a deep breath in. With your exhale, drop the knees to your right side. Inhale, bring them back to center. Let's take them to the left this time. Exhale to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale right. And back. Inhale. Left. And back. Exhale right. Inhale back. Exhale left. Inhale back. And then exhale, take the knees to the right. Relax them there and stay. If you'd like to, you can turn the chin to the left, away from the knees. And maybe the right hand rests gently on top of the left knee. Can you slow down your breath here? Good. With your inhale, come back to center. And exhale, take the knees to the left, chin to the right. And maybe the left hand rests on the right knee. Slow breaths. You know how. Good. With your next inhale, come back. Hug the knees in. So we have one more posture to do. And we're going to do it seated, which I know is kind of far. Take your time as you come up to a seat, okay? And you may want to sit on a blanket or two, because we're going to practice butterfly pose again. We practiced it at the beginning. We know what that felt like. We're going to practice it now and see what it feels like now, adding in more of this intentional pranayama. So sitting tall, holding onto the shins, ankles, or feet. And feel the chin drop toward the throat slightly. And slow down your breath. Again, the breath can be audible to aid in that slowness. Think about the hips. Think about hinging from the hips. Keeping the back flat. And going only as far as your body will allow you. The second the upper back starts to round back up to the point where you could maintain a flat back. And keep the chin tucking toward the throat as well. Long breaths, slow breaths. And if it feels within your practice, allow there to be just a little bit of a pause after exhalation. Just a little bit of a holding of the breath out before you inhale. Slow breath in, slow breath out. Short pause after exhalation. Short pause after exhale. We'll stay for just another breath or two. Now, however far you've folded, carefully walk your hands back. And keep this inward turning energy with you as you come back onto your back for Shavasana, corpse pose. Making any final adjustments you need to rest comfortably here. If you need to stretch the legs out another time or two, do come down onto your back and bring any support where you need it. Okay. Make sure your body is uncrossing, the toes falling out to the side, your arms down by your sides, palms face up, and your jaw relaxed, your eyes relaxed. Take a deep breath in and out, maybe sighing if that feels good to you, allowing your body to relax here. And as has been our practice tonight, slow down your breathing. And you don't have to effort too much here with this. It's more the breath is slowing down because you're allowing there to be a level of relaxation to the force of the breath. So you're taking your time, not rushing the inhale or exhale. It's as if you're inhaling, as if the breath is already within you, and exhaling as if the breath has nowhere else to go. Slowing down the breath, slowing down the movements of your mind, calming prana. Peace, peace, peace. Take a slow, deep breath, keeping your energy calm and grounded. You might make a little bit of gentle movement here, but keep your energy contained. Slowly moving onto your right side. And slowly making your way to a comfortable seat, trying to maintain this internal awareness as much as possible. Sitting tall. So we'll end our practice tonight with Chandra Vedana Pranayama. Chandra means moon. Vedana, it's a hard word. Vedana means piercing. So this is moon piercing breath. This will help to bring balance to Ida Nadi, so that lunar channel of energy. And so we're going to work with alternate nostril breathing. Some of you have done this before. And it's a shorter practice, which is works for timing tonight, but know that you don't have to do much of this to get a strong effect. Actually, with this, sometimes less is more. When we do the converse of this practice next week, we do it for longer, but that's a more active version, all right? So take your right hand and bend in the pointer finger and the middle finger. So the two little fingers are extended and the thumb is extended. You'll use the two little fingers to block your left nostril when appropriate, and your thumb to block your right nostril when appropriate. Okay, so just get that ready. We're going to bring that to the nose here in just a moment or two. But sit tall, allow the eyes to close, and become aware of the breath in your nostrils again. And allow there to be just a slight pause after your exhale. Just enough to give the breath a sense of buoyancy. And then bring your right hand up to your nose and block the right nostril with the thumb. Inhale through the left nostril, slow and steady. Then block the left nostril, release the right, exhale right nostril. Pause the breath. Blocking the right nostril, inhale through the left again. Close the left, open the right, exhale. Block the right, hold the breath out. Open the left, inhale. Block the left, open the right, exhale. Block the right, hold the breath out. Open the left, inhale. Block the left, open the right, exhale. Block the right, hold the breath. Open the left, inhale. Block the left, open the right, exhale. Block the right, hold the breath. Open the left, inhale. Block the left, open the right, exhale. Block the right, hold the breath. Release. Hand to thigh. Inhale both. Exhale both. Breathing normally. Just feel any shift. Maybe in the nostrils or any stimulation at the brain center. The energetic quality that's accompanied your experience in this practice. And taking a deeper, fuller breath. Bring your palms to your heart and lower the chin, honoring that Ida Nadi, that receptive, cooling, lunar, feminine channel of energy, that right brain activation. May all of your work here tonight, all the slowing down and holding that you've done tonight, may all of that and this practice serve you well. So until next time, namaste.